How did the BRICS come about as a counterweight to the West? In some sense, nobody liked the Western era of dominance when they were colonized. So I think there's a lot of historical latent resentment anyway. And why not? Because the Western world was a nasty world. It was a racist world. It was a dominating world. It was a greedy world. It was an extractive world. It was a hypocritical world. All of those things absolutely apply. But there was a sense, okay, that's the world, so we don't have to be against all of that. But the United States, to summarize, got pretty obnoxious over the last 40 years. I'm not a fan of U.S. foreign policy. I think it's been utterly nasty and self-defeating. And I say nasty because it's based on wars of choice and regime change operations and sanctions, unilateral sanctions that the U.S. puts on to tell other countries what to do. It's not based on diplomacy. It's based on bossing other countries around. Not necessarily its own immediate allies in the West, so-called, but in the rest. And so the U.S. foreign policy has been quite obnoxious. Dozens and dozens of regime change operations, wars of choice, nonstop, CIA-led efforts to topple regimes around the world. The more you know, and by now I know a lot, it's deeply unpleasant, and it doesn't work. It does destabilize other places, but it doesn't serve any U.S. purpose, doesn't raise my security, doesn't raise my wealth. All it did was generate $7 trillion of war costs since 2000, and that was funded basically by borrowing from the U.S. So our debt soared to reach about 100% of GDP because we had stupid wars in Iraq and Syria and Libya and Ukraine, in Afghanistan, for nothing. But the BRICS is a reaction to that too, because the United States has pursued an aggressive hegemonic policy, basically trying to hold on to its dominance, even as the underlying economic reality is something quite different now. And that's what the U.S. doesn't understand. They need to get out of their offices and understand the world. We aren't in a Western-led world anymore. We're not in a U.S.-led world anymore. But the U.S. is trying to hang on, just like France did in North Africa for a while, just like France did in Indochina for a while. But it's an absolutely losing effort. And this is what the BRICS have noted, and actually why there are 36 countries around the table today representing more than half the world population.